Hi everyone, how you doing? Is all right? Welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. We are live, a double header. We had a video earlier on with 40 on NFTV Extra. Pop over there, our second channel, which has grown, approaching the aim is for 2K. So we're on the road. So head over there. But today we are live. So thank you very much for watching, and we're going to jump on the whiteboard and the counterboard as well. Yes, thank you very much for your company. We are aiming for 150 likes today. Is that doable? Can you help us? Please like the video because we've brought it back, the whiteboard, after a few years of not doing it. And it's now a feature back on the channel at least once a week. So yeah, so if you can help and you like this stuff, welcome also to the latest video on NFTV. Keep your comments coming because I will be reading some of them out. And of course, if you are new, thank you very much for watching. Let's jump straight to the comments as well. With Hendrick suspension, one of the long staffs didn't start. There's something up there. Then surely Gale gets a game with Wilson out. Yeah. Yeah, there's a space opening up because I think Isaac Hayden, you'll probably tell by the videos that I do today, Isaac Hayden's going to play in defence, what I'm going to go with against Monday because we are a little bit struggling at the back. Martin, who's just been on the other video as well on the second channel. Hi, Martin, mate. How are you doing? Yes, Jody, I'm well. Thank you very much for asking. Long shift at work. But yeah, the graph continues. Yes, Thomas, evening to you as well. So what we're going to do is I filmed it a little bit earlier on today is I'm going to jump on the counterboard first, how we set up against Southampton first half, because it all went tits up second half. We had to literally park the bus, but they defended really, really well. And that's for me. I wouldn't say it's a complete performance, but looking at it from the first half, the second half, you had to have two totally different mentalities, and we coped with it superbly well. I would have liked to see us obviously go for the full 90 with Willock breaking through from midfield. Interesting if Bruce bottles it. If he parks the bus, please don't, Steve Bruce. Go after Chelsea on Monday night. Obviously, we've gotten a show coming up. The Black and White show is returning this weekend. So we'll have your WhatsApp and everything in. But we'll jump on the counter and we'll take a look back at how I believe we set up against Southampton. Right, so this is the formation that we're playing against Southampton before the red card. So you've got the four at the back. You've got the three midfielders, ESM, Wilson, and Almiron. So the first half in particular, Almiron was sensational when he was coming in off that flank a lot of the time, which was causing Southampton a lot of problems. Of course, he scored a couple of goals when he picked the ball up here and it deflected in off Bednarek and went into the goal. And obviously later on in the game when he was played through, Almiron side of the foot, obviously McCarthy all over the place with that back pass, and Almiron put it bottom corner. So Almiron was absolutely brilliant in that first half. But ESM, of course, got two of the assists. And it's a welcome addition seeing him back into the side because he's been missing from the start lineup since, I think was it late November? I think one of the commentators said. But with ESM, you're seeing him over on this side over here. And of course, I mean, how can you defend against ESM? It's very difficult. He was running down the byline. He was going past players with ease. Of course, with the goal that was cut back for Willock, when Willock ran in and obviously ASM cut it back, Willock scored. He was a real threat on that left-hand side. Now, what you've also would have seen as well, Wilson doing a lot of the channel runs, which he does really well. But this man, I want to circle this man because we always talk about not having goal-scoring midfielders for a long, long time. Really, off the top of my head, I'm thinking Kevin Nolan. That's going way back. Obviously, Joe Willock scored as a touch point just before when ESM pulled it back and he's running in. But in the first half, Willock was literally trying his best to get forward as much as possible. Of course, he scored from the goal, and really, we haven't had that all season. And for a long time, if you think under Rafa Benitez, who was our goal scorer from set midfield? We didn't have anybody. I know Shelby got 6 goals last season, but that was early on in the season. But that was the thing that I noticed massively with Joe Willock, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. In particular, you know, we're coming up against two big sides in Chelsea and Man United. Will he have the same effect? Will he still have that license to roam? That's a big question. Of course, does Steve Bruce play wing backs against them? I hope he doesn't. Obviously, I'm going to jump on the whiteboard shortly I hope he doesn't, but Almiron was brilliant coming in. And a lot of people say, oh, he's playing his natural role. He's not in his natural role over on the right-hand side, which people are forgetting. What he's having the license to do is to get forward more often. Instead of going that way, instead of coming to help back. And don't get me wrong, he still did that, but he's got the license now to get forward a lot more and have a little bit more of a free role, him and ASM. And remember, they can't switch over if they wish to. Where do you fit Ryan Fraser into this formation? Do you play him as the further set midfielder, or do you keep those three at the moment? Because those three played well on the weekend, unfortunately, I think Ryan Fraser, and it's mad to say this, will probably have to settle for a place on the bench on Monday night. I'd love to have all four of them start. Of course I would. I don't see any reason why we should be scared. You know, if we're going to park the bus, what's the point in turning up? Because Newcastle's record at Stamford Bridge is awful. Let's try and have a go. Not so much play at Chelsea's game, because obviously they've got better ability than what we have man for man. But, you know, if we go there with a bit of threat and we'll try and go forward, but really, really looking forward to see how this lad gets on, Joe Willock. Of course, when the red card, of course, it was Hendrick who got him sent off. And it was a mad 5 minutes, because if you remember, it was the ball on the right-hand side. I think it was, I might have been mistaken of Manquillo, I might have got that wrong, but Jonjo Shelvey's bombing in, and it's cut back to Jonjo Shelvey, and he puts it wide. Now, if that goes in, you know, if he just uses his right foot to caress it, that is 3. Well, that would have been 4-1, and it would have been game over. But of course, Ward-Prowse scores that worldy free kick top corner. Can't really do anything. What a goal that was! But then the daft moment, Jeff Hendrick. I mean, he's already on a yellow card. He's pulling the shirt, and he's rightly sent off. Referee comes on the pitch. Where's my referee thing? I'll have to be the assistant. Referee gives him the red card. You're off. See you later. So two yellows for Jeff Hendrick, and that would then have to change a formation. Of course, we had to then Willock had to literally do the job of Hendrick, and then we were obviously a lot more back. Of course, we're playing against 10 men, but that was the formation with 10 men, and we looked all right with 10 men. Obviously, Miguel Almiron was coming over on this side, trying to get the ball up on the pitch, but when Fabian Schär went up for that free kick, I don't know what Fabian Schär was up there taking that free kick at any place. And obviously he's clattered, and we've done the video a couple of days ago about all the injury crisis at the back. So Fabian Schär goes off injured. He's out for the season, probably not play for Newcastle again for the rest of the season. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, you've got 9 men. I mean, there had to be some changes made. Paul Dummer came on, and he was brilliant when Paul Dummer came in. But that was where then we had to go even further back, and we were defending everywhere from corners to set pieces. Southampton had all the ball, and it was literally a 4-4-0. That's what Newcastle played for. And Almiron was the outlet later on in that second half. Almiron was getting further up the pitch to try and win his free kicks. It was rare, but at least he took the pressure off. But you've got to say that all defended, absolutely sensational. Hayden, Dummett were brilliant, holding the line. Even Shelby had a much better game. Every single player had to graft for that win. And I have to say, I give Steve Bruce a 10 out of 10. You might say Graham Jones, but the performance first half was brilliant, how we attacked. Second half, we had to defend because we're down in 10 men and 9 men. They defended and played for the badge, and I was really, really proud to be a Newcastle fan on the weekend. It was a sensational first half, second half, because we had to show 2 different types of character. Brilliant. But how do we go against Chelsea? For me, as I mentioned, you've got to go after them. What's the point in going there to park the bus and hope for a point? You know, Newcastle are 10 points from safety. Do we go 5 at the back? I hope he doesn't. I hope he goes 4, personally, for me. And I hope he plays the same formation as what we did on the weekend, because we seem to be getting a lot of joy. We're getting higher up the pitch. Even if that was, if Hayden comes back here and Kraft, I think it'll be Hayden and Dummett. But whoever comes in for Hendrick, I think Willock stays there for me. Willock's going to have that, try and get help up and get in support for me. But that is the team that I would go with, the formation. In terms of personnel, we're going to look at the whiteboard in just a moment, but let's go back live. Right, so that was recorded a little bit earlier on. What I meant by 10 points clear of safety, I meant we're safe from the relegation zone by 10 points. That's what I was meant. And we've actually got a Chelsea fan. Hello, Jack. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you park the bus. Well, that's the aim, Jack. Obviously, if we park the bus, he'll win the game. He'll break we're down eventually. I just hope that we go at Stamford Bridge, because our record there is awful. It's shocking. Just go there with a bit of hope and a bit of fighting. not so much be in the faces, but play a little bit higher up the pitch. You know, we're surprised Everton, and the result at Everton and the performance to match was brilliant. Can he do that against the Chelsea side for the same amount of intensity? Probably not as long, but have a bit of balls, you know, go after them. And why not go after them? And, you know, if you're speaking, and I've actually timed the spot on, believe it or not. Speaking of balls, we have a new sponsor, which is Manscaped, manscaped.com. You can get 20% off, free shipping code, 20% off using the code NFTV. What that basically, they sell t-shirts, they sell shavers, top to bottom, boxer shorts, smellies, you name it. Have a look at manscaped.com, who are our new partners. So thank you very much for those guys being on board. Right, okay, so in terms of parking the bus, I hope not, because that's because we've got Chelsea, Man United, and realistically, we're not really hoping to get anything. I mean, we're hoping to get something from the game. That's not what I meant. We're not realistically thinking that we're going to get anything from those two games. But let's go down fighting. Let's not, you know, if we get beat 2 or 3-0 and we've attacked and high pressed and played well, then fair enough. But if you're going to go and park the bus and get beat 2 or 3-0, I mean, what's the point turning up? Where's the hope as a fan? Where's the joy from that as well? It'll be the GG show. Gayle gives goals. Yeah, he loves a goal against Chelsea, didn't he? Especially Stamford Bridge. When Spurs pressed Chelsea, they didn't know what to do with the ball, says Sino. Good point. Thomas says we might nick a 1-0, but I don't see it coming. Maybe, fingers crossed, we might. If we're going to win the game, I think we've got to score at least a minimum of 2. I cannot say we're keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea. Stolen with 1-0 win after wasting 80 minutes from Joe Linton. Yeah. And do we know when Wilson was back? Look, I'm not 100% certain, but it's definitely not going to be the Chelsea game. Who would I go up top with, Lee? I don't want to have Andy Carroll up top if he's not going to have any support, but I would personally go Dwight Gayle. He's the next best thing, and he's got a good record down there, so why not? But what we're going to do is I've recorded this a little bit earlier on. You can see a couple of scribbles. You've got Almiron's name there, which is a clue of what I want to play with. This video is a slightly glitchy at times, so I do apologise in advance, but he has me on the whiteboard a little bit earlier. You've got Carl Darlow in goal there. I've gone for Emil Kraft at right back, Isaac Hayden at our right centre-back, Kieran Clark, Jamal Lewis as well left back. In midfield, I've got Shelvey and Matty Longstaff. Obviously, Hendrick is suspended. No sign of Sean Longstaff. We don't know what's happened with him. Almiron had a great game on that right-hand side. I want to allow him to have that license to come in. Joe Willock, I like to see him getting forward. I think he's got more of a goal threat than what Fraser has in terms of late getting in the box. ASM on the left-hand side. And, of course, Alan Saint-Maximin with Wilson. I've said ASM twice there, haven't I? But anyways, so this is the lineup, as I say. I am being a little bit all over the place. Yes, I do apologise. But Carl Darlow in goal. A Kraft is because we've literally got anybody else, to be honest with you. So I would go with Hayden. And the reason why I've gone for Isaac Hayden on that right-hand side, just for balance, that's all it's down to, because you could play Paul Dummett in Kieran Clark, but do you really want 2 left-footed centre-backs? And for me, Isaac Hayden was sensational at centre-back. So for me, although I don't want to play him there week in, week out, if there's no Lascelles and there's no Fernandez, for me, Isaac Hayden was absolutely sensational at right centre-back. I don't see any reason why you want to put him further forward and bring in somebody else at centre-back, like Dummett with 2 lefts. Foot centre-backs. That one's for debate. I'm sure you're going to tell us in the comments. Let us know. Kieran Clark, no-brainer. He's obviously partners just gave birth last week, so he'll come back in without a shadow of a doubt. He'll play on the left-hand side. Jamal Lewis, obviously, he'll be up against some talented wingers, whoever Chelsea play out on the wide flanks. That's the same with Emil Kraft over on the other side as well. But I've gone with Matty. Matty played against Chelsea away, if you remember, at Stamford Bridge when we got beat 1-0 last season when Alonso scored, and he didn't have a lot of run and didn't see much of the ball because of the system that we played. For me, in that 2 midfield, I would have Matty as your runner, doing all of that. And then if you can, and that's a big if, because Jonjo Shelvey has to start playing well against the bigger sides. So for me, Shelvey keeps his place. I think he's a better option than Sean for me in that midfield in this team at this very moment, because you can get forward and get a bit of creativity. You can go long, and obviously there's pace. We know all about ASM. Whether Chelsea play right back, whether they go Cesar Azpilicueta, easy for me to say, because he's probably been more defensive better than any other right back at Chelsea. I know you've got Reece James, but if you want to go defensive and try and stop him, you would probably ask I'm just going to call him Caesar Azpilicueta. Hey. But ESM, we all know what he's going to do, man. You can go past 2-3 players. But Joe Willock is the interesting one for me, because Joe Willock, if he plays so far in advance, I want to see him continue that. None of this 10 men behind the ball, as I say, because if you're going to go down fighting, play at least with a little bit of ambition. Let's try and surprise Chelsea. We've got an awful record there. Why not? Why not go there? For Joe Willock, I want to see him like he did in the first half, as I just touched upon, getting forward, trying to help Wilson in that box, because he's a better outlet for goals coming from deep than what Miggy is if you're playing Miggy there, or if you're playing Ryan Fraser. And remember, this is not a number 10. This is just sitting in front of the two midfielders. So don't be alarmed by that. It's not a number 10 I've got there. Almiron, again, if he can come in, that would be great. That might be a little bit difficult because he might have to go and help back with Kraft, same as ESM on the other side. But that's the team that I would go with. Wilson, obviously double figures, 10 goals, 5 assists. He'll be sniffing. Expect him to run the channels, get a bit of joy on that side as well. It's like the good old days, this, isn't it? Scribbles all over the place, not making any sense. But anyways, let's go back. Let's go live. Yeah, so we're back live, not making sense of that. Having a good time on the whiteboard, but like the good old days. But yeah, that's what I would go with. A similar type of formation against Southampton, because I think first half we were fine. I don't see the need to change it. I just want Steve Bruce to go into Stamford Bridge. I've said already, just be brave. If it goes there and park the bus, and then the mentality is negative, and then we're going into Man United being negative, we'll just get walloped off both of them. We will. Let's have a look what he's saying. Owen, why change the formation? I wouldn't personally. Gale, Joe Litton. I don't know if that's a tongue-in-cheek comment as well. Shelby gives no effort, but look who you're going to play there, because realistically, if you're going to play Hayden at the back, like I have in my team, you're going to play Sean there, who's been indifferent. For me, I'd probably have for me, I think John Joe will just get ahead of him. I think Bradley agreeing on that as well. And Ollie's just said there, if I was Chelsea manager, I would go for Reece James. Azpilicueta's getting on now. I think Ersen would have him, especially on the counter. True, but I think Azpilicueta is a better defender than Reece James. That's why I think Caesar will be better. And what's wrong with his eyebrows? Whose eyebrows they talk about? Phony McPhony face. He talk about mine? Because I don't think there's nothing wrong with my eyebrows, these bad boys. Jordy Tancaster says Chelsea will have a lot of the ball, but they do go sideways a lot. Yes, the same team for me, but you'll play for Joe Litton. David did mention that Wilson is out, so if Callum Wilson doesn't make it, because it looks like he's not at the moment, because that did film that earlier on, I'll probably have Gale in Wilson's place on that whiteboard just before, which is unlikely that Wilson is going to play, but Gale for me will play ahead of Wilson if Wilson doesn't make it. That's my first next best option. You could say Andy Carroll, elbows in the air and so on, but I would go for Gale if Wilson doesn't make it, which is probably the case. We do have a lot of videos also coming up as well. We've just had one on Foot with 40 live on NFTV Extra. We're back live again on the main channel tomorrow. I'll get a rest from YouTube. Whew. So it is Johnny, Sam, and Liam doing scoring the players halfway through the season marks. That'll be interesting, because you know what Liam's like in the comments with his bizarre ratings. I wonder what Jamal Lewis will get, bless him. And of course, we've got a black and white show later on this week. We've also got possibly another football manager video as well. And then obviously the build-up, as I touched upon, we'll get loads more videos out here on both channels as well. Are we accepting a loss? Says Joshua. No, I hope not. I mean, if Bruce goes to fire at the back, then yes. Yeah. I don't think we've got any chance as well. I've just seen Jay in Atlanta comment somewhere. Where did he just put it? I agree with Hayden at the back, but count on the same production for midfielders like Shelby as well. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for all your comments and your interaction today. We'll see you tomorrow as we're back live tomorrow night, everyone. Ta-da. Bye-bye.